everyone. Well, I thought the first episode was okay. I mean, I was just chatting, right? Chatting about a bit of memory that's lodged in my head. Talking about memories, actually. Hold on, why, whenever I want to record something, do the bin men decide to pull up outside my flat, my neighbours open their door and start chatting or rowing? Do you know what I mean? Why? I mean, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's really loud, like an engine going and beeps. But lucky enough for you and for me is that this podcast isn't about perfection. In fact, it's probably about no perfection whatsoever. It's about just chatting about what's on my mind. And I'll tell you what is on my mind, and it's on my mind all the time. Especially with age, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to think about it a lot more. And it's reminiscing. Now, I don't know. I think I do it, I swear I do it more than other people. Well, maybe that's true. I don't know, maybe it isn't. Perhaps everybody spends half their life wandering around old memories and just doesn't talk about it. But I know I do. I mean, sometimes all it takes is a smell, a song, an old photograph, a street name, a television show, and I'm suddenly gone. Not physically, obviously, but mentally. Back somewhere else. Back in another version of my life. One of my strongest memories I have is sitting with my grandparents in the living room, and it wasn't a special occasion of such. It was just a normal sort of time, or a collection of times. Nobody was celebrating anything. Nobody knew it would become a memory. It was just life. A cup of tea, the television on, programs I loved at the time, like in the 80s again. A lot of the reminiscing is my childhood. But yeah, 80s TV shows like Boone, Bread, you know, the ones set in Liverpool. Why are they so loud out there? Shut up! Dear John, I used to love Dear John as well. I don't know if you've ever seen that. And Sorry, with Ronnie Corbett, one of my favourites. But anyway, this was like the sort of evening that happened thousands of times over and over across Britain. In fact, to everybody, it was just not the norm, right? It was, and yet when I think about it now, it feels almost sacred. I mean, the room felt safe. The world felt smaller, but the people I loved were all there. And everything seemed permanent. You know, like it would just last forever. And that's the strange thing about memories. At the time, they rarely announce themselves. They don't wave a flag and say, "Pay attention, one day you'll wish you could come back here." They're just ordinary moments. And then one day, they aren't. One day they're gone. And suddenly they become, like, valuable somehow, in a way which is priceless. Not something that you can go back and purchase, like an old Star Wars figure, or, you know, something that's physical. This is something that's priceless in a way that it's frustrating that it's just a memory. Well, it is to me. I've often wondered whether the feeling I remember was actually there at the time. Was I really sitting there feeling content and secure? I mean, I assume I was. Or have I added that feeling afterwards? Is that what reminiscing is? Do we add the feeling that we imagine we had? Oh, I don't know. It bends my brain. It really does. I mean, have I painted the memory with colours that didn't exist when it happened? I don't mean things were miserable, I know I was happy, right? But, I mean, because children don't usually sit around appreciating the moment, do they? Children are busy being children. They're not thinking, one day I'll miss this. Maybe that's something you say when you're older because you're aware of reminiscing. So when you're older, you probably say, live, make this time count because you won't get it again. All of that stuff. But when you're younger, you don't. You just are. You just exist. And, you're just thinking about tomorrow or football or music or what they're having for dinner. Do you know what I mean? Yet somehow these memories become richer with age. Almost as though time develops them like old photographs, right? And I wonder if that's why I reminisce. Because maybe I'm frightened of forgetting. Not forgetting facts, but forgetting feelings. I don't know. Maybe I'm frightened of forgetting voices, or even the rooms. Forgetting the atmosphere of the moment. As I said in the first episode, my mum was having to work a lot, bless her. As a single mother, she was doing all the heavy lifting, right? So I would be spending most of the time with my grandparents while she was at work. And this is why I think I reminisce, because I think of it like, they were everything at the time for me because I was there all the time. Do you know what I mean? And it's the small things, like sitting in the living room watching my favourite TV shows, or my pap saying, oh, Jaws is on. Jaws is coming on at 9 o'clock. Or something like, I'll tell you what, I remember when I was upstairs, I'd be in my bedroom and my pap would shout up like, Andrew, and he'd say like, Clash of the Titans is about to start, or Jason and the Argonauts, or Sinbad. And do you know what I mean? I used to love them sort of films with the stop motion animation by Ray Harryhausen. I think that's his name, yeah. And I was fascinated by them. I don't know why, I couldn't put anything on it. But he knew I loved it. And he'd be like, Film with Monsters is coming on. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just we reminisce about the simple things because they are simple. There was nothing complicated about such a beautiful, simple gesture maybe someone did. Or, I don't know. I mean, last week, I lost my granddad, or Pap, as I like to say. And my nan had already left us, a few years ago. And I'm not going to lie, I am heartbroken. I didn't get to see him as much anymore because he's in Northampton. I mean, he was. And I'm in Worthing. And yeah, he was old. He was old. Like, I think he was 98 or something. But, he was still going pretty strong. But it's, basically, I'm not going to go into it too much out of respect to him, but he took a little tumble and I think that just added to it. And it's just a bit sad. You think about mortality. Well, I think about mortality. We all know that time is going to come, right? And it doesn't matter how much preparation you have. It's not really... It doesn't make things any better, does it? Yeah, in some ways you can prepare goodbyes and a few things like that, but the emotion attached to it is still the same. It still rips your heart out. And on the subject of reminiscing, I just, you know, especially with losing him the other day. There goes my phone. I better turn it on silent. Hold on. Yeah, especially for what happened the other day. I think I was already a strong reminiscer. Is reminiscer a word? I don't know. My grammar's awful. But I think now, knowing that both grandparents are not with us in the physical form, I think I will be doing it a lot more. Just for a few seconds. You know, it's like they're alive again. Or the television is on. The tea is hot. With lots of sugar as I used to have it. The room is warm. Nothing bad has happened yet. Time hasn't moved. Maybe reminiscing is our way of defeating time. You know, just for a moment. I think that's why old songs can hit so hard. You'll hear a song you haven't heard for 20 years and suddenly you're transported somewhere else. Not remembering, but returning. There's a difference. Remembering feels distant. Returning feels real, I think. And music has always done that to me. A song can take me back to my bedroom, back to my first guitar, back to school, back to old friendships in my childhood. Because all childhood friendships are usually the best, right? I mean, I'll go into that another day. But, you know, back to the places that don't even exist anymore. Sometimes I think music is a time machine disguised as entertainment. And that's quite a strong thing I've just said there. The beauty of this podcast and of me talking is that I don't have a piece of paper with written notes down. I'm literally just talking. And sometimes I might say things. Stop texting me. Not that. Hold on. Why do people text me when I don't know. Subconsciously, I think they know that I'm trying to record something. Stop! Jesus Christ. Why do you get that? Well, instead of one message, you know, like explaining everything they want to say, they do it in about 8 fragmented, split up texts. Why? Do you know what I mean? Just, it bothers me. I'm like, beep, beep, beep. They could have just said it. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I've lost track of where I was now. Hold on a minute. I might have to listen back to what I was talking about. This is the downside of speaking, you know, on the fly. Anyway, oh yeah, I said, what did I say? Something like, I think music is a time machine disguised as entertainment. That's right. And I really do. I mean, this podcast, I've tried to say that it's not just going to be about music. Obviously, that is my life. I will talk about it a lot, but it's not meant to be a music podcast, right? It's meant to be about the daily thoughts of Andy Crofts, as if I'm just some thing, you know. Nothing vain in there. It's just, I had to give it a title, right? And I'm not going to give someone else's name, am I? So yeah, I think music is some kind of magical thing, like a magical time machine that can be disguised as entertainment. Do you know what I mean? It's the musical, what is it? The universal language of the world. You know, why do we all connect to it so much? Why does it have this sort of strength beyond words? Melody, rhythm, you know, it's something that we all connect to. There's something very, very powerful about music. We need to go further into this. in another episode. And it's certainly not something I can just go, and that's why. That's why. No, of course I can't. But I can only give my theories on it, especially being so heavily into the music world. Do you know what I mean? And, oh yeah, there's another strange thing. I'm nostalgic, right, for things I've never experienced. I mean, is that weird? How can that even be? How can I miss something that was never mine? I see old footage from the 1960s, 50s or 60s, 70s. People walking down streets in London, Piccadilly Circus, where all the old signs are up. Not all that horrible modern screens. Just when it was just a simple sign hanging up, and old record shops, old football grounds, and I'm feeling something, a longing, a sadness, and a curiosity, I guess. Almost as though I'm mourning a world that disappeared before I arrived. And I know I'm not alone in that. Lots of people feel it, I think. Maybe we're all searching for a place that never really existed. Maybe nostalgia isn't about the past at all. Maybe it's about belonging. It's about wanting to feel connected to something bigger than ourselves. Maybe it's about searching for home. And perhaps that's the thing I'm really looking for when I reminisce. Not the exact memory, or the exact room, not the exact people, but the feeling of comfort, the feeling of being held by the world. That feeling that everything is just okay. I sometimes wonder whether I've ever truly felt that again, or whether adulthood just changes something. Maybe we spend our lives trying to rediscover a feeling that only existed because we were young. Or I don't know what I'm saying here. I'm thinking out loud, but I don't know. Maybe the feeling is still here and we simply don't recognise it. Like, maybe 30 years from now, I'll be reminiscing about today. About sitting here talking into the microphone to you beautiful people. About making this podcast. And the people in my life right now. About the things I currently take for granted. Maybe this moment is already becoming a memory. Well, it must be, right? Maybe that's what life really is. A series of ordinary moments that become extraordinary once they're past. And I don't know, perhaps that's why I keep looking back. Not because I want to live in the past, but because the past reminds me what matters. The people, the places, conversations, music, love. The small moments that seemed ordinary at the time, but somehow become the story of life. Isn't it just weird? And perhaps that's all reminiscing really is. I mean, a way of saying thank you to the moments that are gone, but still live inside us. I don't know. I mean, I know some people who are like, I don't reminisce. No. I don't look back. I only look forwards. Like there's some sort of robot machine. No, the past is gone. I'm like, shut up. Don't tell me you don't look back with fond memories about things. It can be as simple as when the Cobblers, Northampton Town Football Club, scored a classic goal. It could be as simple as that, and you look back and you're like, oh, that was good, that was. It can be as simple as that. I don't necessarily believe people who say they don't reminisce, because I feel like it's some kind of human instinct, human nature. I mean, what do you think? Let me just sip my tea while you think that. Oh, I do love tea. We love a bloody good cup of tea in England, don't we? I'm sorry, but I've got to steer slightly off now. Just slightly. Tea. Why is tea so good? Yes, I know some of you like coffee more. But I'd say in general, in England, in general, we love our tea more. And from my personal experience of travelling the world, touring, and, you know, doing everything away from England, I can tell you one thing. Nobody makes a cup of tea like the English. Do you know what I mean? Or shall I say, sorry, I take that back. Obviously, the Scottish and the Welsh and the Irish, you know, we're all in the same kind of tea vicinity. We're cool there, we're cool. But I'm talking about, you know, Europe onwards. And it's like, you know, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I think about, if it's not a dream that's been plaguing my mind for the night, is a cup of tea. I'm like, I must have a cup of tea. It's like I can't even function. And, you know, what? Why? Is it some sort of addiction to tea? You know, on average, I probably have... Let me work this out. So, get up in the morning, have a cup of tea. Immediate second cup of tea. Right? Obviously an immediate second cup of tea. And you leave the tea, the spoon, balancing on the sink or wherever, because you know you're going to come back for it. And so I then give it a little longer, another one. I'm talking probably 10 cups of tea. Is that a lot? How many cups of tea do you have? Maybe it's more. I just, it's like an unspoken rule. Like you're going about your life, and when you take a second, you're like, oh, put the kettle on. You know what I mean? It's you kind of get stuck with thoughts for a moment. So, right, better make a cup of tea. Oh, a nuclear bomb's just gone off. All right, better come in, put the kettle on. I don't know. Am I talking gobbledygook? Am I just being silly? I don't know. But I just think there's something about tea. I think tea deserves its own episode. You know. But anyway, I'm not going to go into it too much. I don't know why I steered off there. It was just that sip of tea. Reminiscing about the tea I've had in my life. You want to know something that's disgusting? Right? When I was at my nan and pap's house as a kid, I had this little thing where, you know, like when people don't finish their tea and there's a little bit at the bottom, you know, the little bit, the sugary bit, and the tea goes cold and kind of almost goes a bit grey. That's disgusting. I had a sick thing where I'd go round and finish everyone's tea off in my house when it was cold. I know, why? But it was, I don't know why I liked it. It's not very nice. I mean, it's my family. It's not like I was drinking some tea out of some stranger's cup. Do you know what I mean? Sat in a muddy pit. It's in my family, but still, it's still something you don't want to do, is drink someone else's cold tea from the bottom of the cup. Why did I do that? Anyway, I'm straying from the path of reminiscing. Reminiscing was on my mind, so that's why we were talking about it. Why do we do it? I guess we'll never know. It's one of them psychological things that people can put as many labels on it as they want. But the real truth is, I don't think we really know. Maybe we're just simply searching for a lost feeling or an imaginary feeling that we just don't have anymore. Maybe we're just scared of losing the thoughts and the memories, of once upon a long ago. Maybe we're just afraid of moving forward and cancelling out the past. If you're listening to this, right, this is quite a new thing, a spontaneous podcast. Can I just say, this just started. I was sat there going through things in my mind, and then I was like, sit near the microphone, press record. And that was it, basically. Oh, here comes the rain. I love the rain. Anyway, that's another episode, my love for the rain. And anyway, yeah, so I just pressed record and started talking. And that's kind of how this podcast started. As some of you might know, I do another podcast called the Terror Cellar, which is a paranormal podcast where I just read out listeners' ghost stories and chat a bit. But the funny thing is, despite the stories, people loving the stories, they also tell me how much they love me chatting. So I'm hoping this kind of satisfies, that need for hearing me chat. I don't know. Isn't life strange? I kind of feel like I have this thing in me where I just have to do everything. I was talking about mortality. That invisible clock that hangs above every one of our heads. I just want to do everything. Everything I want to do. I don't want to be forced to do anything. But if I want to do this and just chat to you, and hope that maybe some of you might like it, some of you might think it's a load of rubbish. But if I want to do it, then I'm going to do it. If I suddenly want to write a little book about songwriting like I did, I will. I'll just put it out. If I suddenly decide I'm going to film a little short film for YouTube with me in it or someone else, then I will. I don't think about... This is one good thing about aging, is that I'm becoming more... less critical about the things I used to be like, no, I'm not doing that. Now I want to just do it all. Life is, as the classic saying is, life is too short to squander, to waste moaning about things that you want to do, but you're too afraid to do it. Just do it. And then maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to reminisce about it in the future. Do you like my little roundup there? I don't know where that came from, but even the massive lorry going past my window trying to distract me didn't, and it worked. So, there we go. I'm going to stop there, and then I'll talk some more rubbish in another episode. But thank you. If you're listening, thank you. If you like what I'm doing, then please let me know. There's an official Facebook page, actually, that I've already had going for a year or so, called the World of Andy Crofts, which was basically just put together for fans of my music, real fans, to follow me. Because I got a bit sick of people, nosy followers, who follow you and they're just inactive people. They're just nosy. They want to follow you and then they bugger off and they don't care. But I want people who are following me to interact with me. I want to talk to you. Do you know what I mean? So if you go on Facebook, you can find the World of Andy Crofts, and it should be like the similar picture to the picture of this podcast. You should see it. So please join there. And I'm going to say this a lot. I might as well get it out there. Obviously, I'm going to try and share this podcast around, right? So to do that, I need more of you to rate the show. You know, for example, on Spotify, if you click the little dots somewhere, it will say rate this show. You click it and then you can give it 5 stars if you want. That is, wink wink, nudge nudge. You can also, on Spotify, you can leave a comment on each episode, or on Apple you can just give an overall review of the podcast. But I mean, if you like it, things like that actually go a long way. I'm not really down with all this algorithm rubbish and how many followers have you got, man? You know, I really don't care. But the only thing I do care about is doing this for no one to hear. You know, it's pointless. So little things like that, if you can just rate the show, give a review, follow it, like it, share it on your socials, tell your friends, your mums, your dads, your cats, your dogs. You know, just help me out like that, and that'd be great. But anyway, yeah, thanks. And yeah, whatever you're doing today, do it the best you can. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.